morning, lovelies. Today we are ranking all of the Avengers MCU movies, from Iron Man 1 to Spider-Man Far From Home. We are not including Into the Spider-Verse, which, by the way, is an amazing movie. Just the Avengers MCU, that storyline. No Deadpool, no X-Men, just Avengers. So much like Star Wars, I've got something of a love-hate relationship with this franchise. I love the story, I love the characters, I love the humor. On the other hand, they treat women like shit. And they aren't too great with people of color either. So be prepared for a lot of emotion on this one. Before we get started, remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos on science fiction, fantasy, and horror through a feminist lens. In 22nd place, at the very bottom of the stack, Ant-Man. Ironically, I really love Scott, but they fuck over Hope Pym so much. I talked about this in my female mentors video more in depth, but I mean, basically, Scott shouldn't have even been a factor. Hope should have just done the heist herself. She has all the training. She has a suit. She's not a criminal. There is no reason for her not to do it. No, she's his daughter, but he's not going to send her. If she'd been his son, it wouldn't have been an issue at all. I just hate it so much. They should have just made a Wasp movie. In 21st place, Age of Ultron. I do appreciate them bringing another woman into this sausage fest, even if she was a villain for most of it. But the plot twist of her brother dying in the end sucked. It was lame. It was stupid. It would have been so much better if he had survived to live through the drama of Civil War. Hawkeye having a family was weird, and I say this as someone who only casually read some of the comics. Like, that was just very strange. Does Ultron want to destroy the world or just go after Stark? Both are valid, just pick one. And Natasha. Oh, talk about fucking over a person in a movie. Okay, so remember in the first Avengers movie when she's having that talk with Loki and he snaps at her and he's talking about the hospital and the baby and hinting at all these horrible things she's done as Black Widow. That gave us some great insight into her character, which we could have explored in further detail with the beautiful setup that Wanda's Mind Games gave us. Instead, they gave her a romantic subplot with Bruce Banner. And on top of that, she views herself as a monster, not because she is an ex-assassin who has killed a ton of people, many of them innocent, and then thought she was working for the good guys to wipe the red from her ledger, except it turned out that she was actually working for Hydra the whole time. No, that's not what makes her a monster at all. What makes her a monster is her forced sterilization. She can't be a mommy. That's what makes her a monster. Okay, so I guess that's just a huge fuck you to all the infertile women and the women who just don't want to have kids and the women who can't have kids for whatever reason. I mean, it just... Ugh. In 20th place, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Too little, too late. It was also a pretty meh movie. I mean, it was just a filler to explain where Scott had been during the whole Thanos thing. And, I mean, I get why they did it, but it was... Like I said, too little too late. In 19th place, Captain America Civil War. This is a very good movie, but it makes me so angry. I mean, first of all, I really don't like friends fighting. I mean, that is just my thing. Like it is just a sucker punch to me, is friends fighting and betraying each other and hurting each other. I hate that so much. And it would make it better for me anyway if it was resolved at the end and everyone was friends again. But that's not what happens here. And the resolution that they did choose in a later movie sucked, and we'll get to that in a minute. Also, I mean, we're supposed to be rooting for Steve here, and I do kind of agree with him with the whole Accords thing, not as much as he does, but I'm on the sliding scale between Steve and Tony. I'm leaning closer to Steve here. But I mean, Tony's stance is not exactly unreasonable here. And also, we find out that Steve knew about Tony Stark's parents' deaths at Bucky's hands, but apparently didn't trust Tony to understand words like brainwashed prisoner of war, and so lied to him about it for 2 years. Steve, Marvel, I love you, baby, but no. 18th place, Thor, The Dark World. Boring. In 17th place, Iron Man 2. Also boring, but at least we get Black Widow out of it. In 16th place, Thor Ragnarok. This was a fun movie, but the sudden change from reverent ancient Thor to happy-go-lucky, modern-speaking jokester was so sudden. It jarred me out of the movie, and it took me like until the halfway point to really get into it. Also, he loses his father, he loses his home, he has to fight his sister, he finds out that his entire history of his people is a lie, but he doesn't have any emotional response except to crack a joke. And it's not even I'm a joke about this to like hide the pain that I'm feeling. We don't see any of that. He seems to be having a blast the whole time. In 15th place, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. We saved the bad guy with the power of friendship. That was not a criticism. I actually really do kind of like that. The other movies were just better. In 14th place, Guardians of the Galaxy. I love a bunch of anti-hero misfits being forced to get together to save the world as much as the next person. But why does Gamora need to be rescued twice? In 13th place, Iron Man 3. I definitely appreciate the fact that they're adding mental health consequences to the hero's actions, like PTSD. Although honestly, the best part of that movie was Rhodes. Why does he not get a movie? Remind me again. In 12th place, Captain America, the First Avenger. Really fun movie, I enjoyed it, but it makes me so sad to see how happy Steve and Bucky was before this shit hit the fan like 20 times. In 11th place, Doctor Strange. It loses points for whitewashing an Asian character, but it gains points for Benedict Cumberbatch. In 10th place, Thor. Seeing a spoiled brat god get depowered, humbled, and thrown into modern America to become a better person is just so wholesome. I love it. In 9th place, Captain Marvel. This movie could have been better, I am not gonna lie, but it's still adorable. Was the bad guy very meh, and the Skrulls actually being the good guys very weird? Yes. Do I adore Marvel's handling of the villain and her amazing, adorable friendship with Nick Fury? Hell yes. In 8th place, Iron Man. This was the first Avengers movie. I saw it as a kid, and it just blew me away. Also, Stark is hands down one of my favorite Avengers, definitely top 5, so this was just amazing. In 7th place, the first Avengers movie. This was their first shot at bringing them all together, and it worked beautifully. Also, Loki was an amazing supervillain. In 6th place, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Gamora doesn't need to be rescued. Also, we get Nebula. I wish more time had been dedicated to their relationship, coming to terms with their trauma and trying to work together, rather than Quill's daddy issues, especially since the last movie had been about his mommy issues. But the bar for Marvel and its women characters are so freaking low, I'm not gonna complain about it too much. In 5th place, Avengers Endgame. I mean, come on. The reason this one isn't higher on the list is because of the way they resolved the whole Tony Stark Civil War thing. So Steve lied to Tony. He didn't tell him that Bucky, again a brainwashed, tortured prisoner of war, killed his parents on Hydra's orders. And because of that, Tony found out by watching it happen through a videotape. And Steve didn't even apologize. Instead, Tony, the victim of this transaction, decided that he just wasn't going to be angry anymore and returned the shield. I mean, that's great for Tony being the bigger person here, but I mean, Steve should have apologized. One little apology. That's all, an actual apology. That's all I needed. I mean, just, oh God, what are we teaching our children? In 4th place, Spider-Man Homecoming. I love Tom Holland as Peter Parker. In 3rd place, Avengers Infinity War. We get to see Thanos for the first time as a villain properly, and he is terrifying. We've got super high stakes throughout the whole movie. The team is shattered, meaning they have to come back together. We're bringing in new characters that haven't really interacted all that much, like the Guardians of the Galaxy with Tony Stark and Doctor Strange and all that stuff. And they lost! I can't tell you, like, I went to see this movie with my entire family, because like Marvel movies and superhero movies, they're like family events for us, so we all went together and we were all just shell-shocked when the credits rolled. It was fantastic. I loved it. 2nd place, Spider-Man Far From Home. Again, Tom Holland. Also seeing his character deal with the grief of losing Tony Stark was just, it was really moving and heartbreaking. Finally, in 1st place, the best Avengers MCU movie is Black Panther. This is probably my favorite superhero movie, period. I mean, T'Challa as Black Panther in and of himself, very solid, very good hero. But I mean, it's everything around him. We've got an amazing villain in Killmonger. I mean, Holy shit, Killmonger, just that. We got Nakia. That's how you do a love interest right there. Shuri almost stole the movie. Even M'Baku, who was like, he is like so hilarious and fun and awesome, and he's like the 12th best thing to come out of this movie. It's got really great themes of imperialism and anti-colonialism and righting the wrongs of past generations, and I cannot believe Marvel made this movie. Why? Why did Chadwick Boseman have to die? That's it for me. Please tell us your favorite Avengers movie in the comments, and remember to subscribe for more videos like this. Bye, lovelies!